I guess I'll just get straight to the point. My name's Jake, and I've recently been through one of the most gut-wrenching experiences of my life. I'm writing this not just to vent, but maybe to help anyone else who might be in a similar situation. Marriage isn't easy, and sometimes, as I've learned the hard way, it can take a turn you never see coming. I married Sarah 3 years ago. We were both young and in love, or at least I thought we were. Sarah was the quintessential wife, smart, beautiful, and seemingly committed. We had built a comfortable life together in our small but cozy home. Our recent investment was custom furniture, which included a beautiful bed crafted by a local carpenter named Alex. I'd always been a sucker for quality craftsmanship, and it seemed like a great way to support local businesses while making our home a little more special. But in the months leading up to the discovery, I had started to notice changes in Sarah's behavior. She had been more distant, always glued to her phone, and there was an unfamiliar tension hanging in the air whenever I came home from work. I chalked it up to the stress of life, maybe work-related anxiety. After all, we were both juggling our jobs and the endless list of chores that come with owning a home. I thought things would settle down. On that fateful Tuesday, I decided to surprise Sarah with lunch. I had picked up her favorite sub just to show her I cared, to break the monotony of our recent routine. I remember feeling excited and a little nervous, hoping it would spark some of that old chemistry we used to have. As I pulled into the driveway, I felt a sense of warmth and anticipation. Little did I know, my whole world was about to come crashing down. I walked into the house, and the first thing I noticed was the unusual silence. The TV was off and the air felt heavy. I called out for Sarah, but there was no answer. I figured she might be in the back room, so I made my way down the hallway. That's when I heard it, the unmistakable sound of laughter mixed with something else, something far more intimate. I hesitated at first, but then pushed open the door to our bedroom. What I saw will forever be engraved in my mind. There was Sarah, my wife, on our brand new bed, tangled up with Alex, the carpenter. They were testing the durability of our new furniture, or so it seemed. I felt a rush of emotions, shock, disbelief, anger, like a tidal wave crashing over me. I stood there frozen for what felt like an eternity, my heart pounding in my chest. When they noticed me, it was like time stood still. The look on Sarah's face morphed from surprise to horror as she scrambled to cover herself with the sheets. Alex, on the other hand, looked more like a deer caught in headlights. In that moment, all I could think about was how betrayed I felt. My own wife, the woman I had devoted my life to, was in bed with another man, and it was happening in our sanctuary. I don't even know how I found the words, but I managed to shout, "What the hell is going on here?" The tension in the room was palpable. Sarah's face turned a shade of pale I had never seen before, and she quickly attempted to explain herself. Her excuses tumbled out in a frantic rush, and none of it made sense. She claimed it was just a moment of weakness, that they had been working closely on the bed and things just happened. It felt like a sick joke, and I wasn't laughing. In that chaotic moment of confrontation, I went from disbelief to fury. A moment of weakness. Really, Sarah? You think that justifies sleeping with the carpenter in our bed? The anger bubbled up inside me, a hot rage fueled by the deep hurt of betrayal. I felt like a fool, a man who had trusted his partner only to find her in the arms of someone else. As her explanations continued, I realized this wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about the woman I thought I knew. She was lying right to my face, trying to sugarcoat something that was so wrong on so many levels. The look in her eyes, a mix of regret and defiance, unsettled me. I had to step back and breathe. I didn't want to do anything I would regret, but the pain was overwhelming. That day changed everything. My mind raced as I tried to comprehend the fallout. A marriage built on trust, now reduced to fragments, scattered across the floor. I had to confront my feelings, my anger, and the reality of what this meant for our future. After I stormed out of the bedroom, I felt like I was in a daze, my mind spinning as I tried to process everything that had just happened. The kitchen felt too bright, too cheerful, and the smell of the lunch I had brought for Sarah suddenly made me nauseous. I tossed the sub into the trash, watching it disappear as if it carried all my hopes and dreams for our marriage with it. I couldn't believe I had been so naive. How could I have missed the signs? As I paced around the living room, my heart raced with each passing second, fueled by a mix of anger and disbelief. I couldn't shake the image of Sarah in our bed with Alex, their laughter echoing in my ears. It felt like a sickening betrayal I couldn't quite wrap my head around. I grabbed my phone, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through my contacts. A part of me wanted to call my best friend, Ryan, and spill everything, but another part told me to figure this out. Alone first, I stood still for a moment trying to summon the clarity I desperately needed. Sarah followed me into the living room, her face a mask of panic. "Jake, please," she pleaded, her voice breaking. She reached out for me, but I pulled away instinctively. The touch that once comforted me now felt foreign, tainted. "Don't," I said sharply, feeling the anger bubbling back up. "You've already crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. What do you want me to say?" She snapped, her frustration bubbling over as well. "I don't know how it happened. It was just a mistake." Her voice held a hint of desperation, a plea for understanding that I simply couldn't muster. Her eyes watered and I could see the tears welling up, but all I felt was a cold hardness in my chest. I couldn't fathom how she could call it a mistake. A mistake is spilling coffee on your shirt. This was a betrayal of the deepest kind. "You don't get to categorize this as a mistake, Sarah," I shot back. "This was a choice you made, a choice to be with someone else." Bed while I was at work. I needed to know more. I felt like I was drowning in confusion and knowledge was my only lifeline. "How long has this been going on?" I demanded, my voice rising. I could see her heartbeat quicken, the guilt etched on her face. "Just tell me the truth," I said. "I deserve that much." She hesitated for a moment and I could see the wheels turning in her mind, trying to craft the right answer. "It was only a few weeks," she finally admitted, her voice trembling. "We got close during the furniture project and it just happened. I'm so sorry, Jake." Her words felt hollow, as if she were reciting lines from a script instead of expressing genuine remorse. The air felt thick with tension as I processed her confession. I was torn between wanting to scream and wanting to cry. It was all too much to handle. "You were just getting close to him," I repeated incredulously. "Was there ever any love there, Sarah, or were you just looking for a thrill?" She shook her head vehemently. "No, it wasn't like that. I love you, I do, I don't know what happened." Her voice cracked and I saw a flash of regret cross her face, but it did nothing to ease the storm brewing inside me. I needed to find some clarity in the chaos. "I need some space," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I can't be here right now." I turned to grab my jacket and I could feel her eyes boring into my back, filled with a mixture of desperation and fear. "Jake, please don't leave," she cried. "We can talk this out. I can fix this." I paused, my hand resting on the door handle. "You've already broken it, Sarah," I replied, not turning around. "I just need to figure out what I want. Don't contact me until I reach out." With that, I stepped out into the cool afternoon air, leaving behind the woman I thought I knew and the life we had built together. It was hard to breathe as I walked away from my home, now a shell of what it used to be. I felt lost and disoriented, like I'd been thrown into a world where everything was upside down. I drove aimlessly for a while, my mind racing. I was filled with anger, but there was also a deep sadness settling in my gut. What was I supposed to do now? I finally pulled into a nearby park, parking my car under a large oak tree. I needed to clear my head. As I sat on a bench, I felt the weight of the situation pressing down on me. I couldn't believe I was even in this position. The anger I felt towards Sarah was only compounded by the feeling of betrayal. My whole life had been turned upside down in an instant, and I had no idea what the next steps were. I pulled out my phone and texted Ryan. "Can you meet me at the park? I need to talk." I hit send and leaned back, staring at the clouds above. I didn't know how I was going to fix this, or if I even wanted to fix it. But I knew I needed to talk to someone who could help me make sense of all this chaos. Ryan arrived about 15 minutes later, looking concerned as he approached. He was a solid guy, a friend I could always rely on. He was the kind of person who knew how to listen without judgment, which is exactly what I needed right then. As he sat down next to me, I could see the worry etched on his face. "Hey man, what's going on?" he asked softly, his voice filled with a genuine concern. I took a deep breath, feeling the knot in my stomach tighten again. "I found Sarah in bed with someone," I blurted out. The words hung in the air between us like a heavy weight. I could see the realization wash over Ryan's face, his eyebrows shooting up in shock. "What? Are you serious?" I nodded, my throat feeling dry as I recounted the details of that morning, the laughter, the betrayal, the chaos that followed. As I spoke, I felt the anger bubbling up again, but I also felt the sadness that accompanied it. Ryan listened intently, nodding along as I shared my pain. "Jake, I'm so sorry," he finally said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "I can't even imagine how hurt you must feel. Do you know how long it's been going on?" I swallowed hard, remembering Sarah's words. "A few weeks," she said, "just after we ordered the furniture. She claims it was just a mistake, but I don't know if I can believe her." My hands trembled as I spoke, the weight of betrayal coursing through me. "She said they got close while working together, but I feel like that's just an excuse. She's lying and I can feel it." Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Listen, I don't know what she's thinking, but this is a huge breach of trust. You have every right to be angry. Have you talked to her since you found out?" "Not since I left," I admitted. "I told her I needed space. I don't know how to process this. Should I confront her again? Should I try to work it out or just cut my losses?" He leaned back, considering my words carefully. "It's a tough decision, man. It really depends on how you feel. Do you think there's still something left to salvage in the marriage?" I shook my head, feeling the weight of my own emotions. "I thought we were good, but now I'm questioning everything. Was I just oblivious? Did she not respect our relationship enough to communicate that something was wrong? I feel betrayed, hurt, and I don't even know if I want to face her again." Ryan nodded, his expression serious. "Those feelings are valid. If you're feeling as torn as you are now, maybe it's best to take a step back and really think about what you want. This isn't something you can just gloss over, it's deep. You deserve to be happy, Jake." As we sat in silence, I felt a wave of emotion crash over me, anger, sadness, confusion. I had thought I knew my wife inside and out, but now I was left questioning everything. "I feel like such a fool," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "I trusted her completely. How could I have been so blind?" "You weren't blind, you just believed in her," Ryan said gently. "You gave her the benefit of the doubt because that's what love does. But you deserve honesty and loyalty in return. It's not your fault." I appreciated his words, but they didn't ease the sting of betrayal. I need to think about what to do next. I can't just pretend this didn't happen. My heart felt heavy in my chest, and I knew I had to confront Sarah eventually. I just needed to sort through the mess of emotions swirling inside me first. "Why don't you take some time for yourself?" Ryan suggested. "Focus on what makes you happy. Find some clarity before you confront her again. You deserve peace of mind." I nodded, knowing he was right. I couldn't let this consume me entirely. I needed space to think. "Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here for me." We spent the next hour discussing anything but Sarah, our favorite movies, hobbies, and plans for the coming months. It felt good to laugh, even if just for a moment, to push the pain into the background. But deep down, I knew it was still waiting for me, the storm of emotions ready to crash down again. Later that night, I returned home, the silence greeting me like an unwelcome guest. Sarah was still there, and I could feel the tension in the air as I walked through the door. She was sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. My gut twisted at the sight, but I couldn't allow myself to feel pity, not yet. "Jake," she started, her voice shaky. "Can we talk?" I didn't want to engage, but I knew this was the moment I'd been avoiding. "Fine," I replied curtly, taking a seat across from her. "But let's get one thing straight. I need the truth, not more lies." Her eyes widened, and I could see the fear in them. "I'll do my best, I promise," she said, wiping her tears. "I want to explain everything, just please, please let me." I took a deep breath, my heart racing. I had no idea what was going to come next, but I was bracing myself for the impact. The storm was far from over, and we were about to engage in a battle of honesty and raw emotions. What could she possibly say that would justify her betrayal? I was about to find out. Sarah sat in front of me, her hands trembling as she fidgeted with the hem of her sweater. I felt a sense of foreboding wash over me as I braced myself for what she was about to say. The silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable, and I could see her mind racing as she searched for her words. "Jake," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "I've been thinking about everything that happened, and I want you to know that I never meant for any of this to happen. I love you, and I'm truly sorry." I couldn't help but scoff at her words. "You love me? Then how could you betray me like this? How could you throw everything we built together away for some temporary thrill?" My voice was sharp, each word laced with hurt and anger. I needed her to understand the gravity of her actions. She looked down, tears spilling over her cheeks. "I know it sounds hollow, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but it happened so fast. Alex was there, and I was feeling overwhelmed with everything: work, stress, the pressure of the new furniture project. It felt like a moment of escape, and I know that's no excuse." I clenched my jaw, my heart pounding in my chest. "A moment of escape? You're in a committed relationship with me, Sarah. You don't just sleep with someone else because you're feeling overwhelmed. That's not how love works." I know," she cried, her voice breaking. "I made a stupid mistake and I can't take it back, but I want to fix this. I want to prove to you that I can be better." The more she spoke, the more my heart hardened. "You think you can just fix this with a few sweet words? Do you even understand the depth of your betrayal?" I felt the anger bubbling up again, the disbelief clawing at my insides. "This isn't some minor misunderstanding, Sarah. You destroyed my trust, and it's going to take a lot more than words to rebuild it." Her shoulders slumped, and she nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I get it. I know I can't just say I'm sorry and expect everything to be okay. I promise I'll do whatever it takes, even if it means giving you space to think." There was a flicker of sincerity in her eyes, but I wasn't ready to let my guard down. "You really think I can just forgive and forget? I need time to process this, Sarah. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." "I understand," she said softly, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I just wish I had thought about how my actions would affect you. I've hurt you in ways I can't even begin to comprehend. How can I trust you again?" I asked, my voice quieter now, the anger simmering down to a dull ache. "You gave yourself to someone else. You let him into our home, into our bed. How do I know this won't happen again? I'll do everything to prove I'm committed to you and our marriage," she insisted, her eyes pleading for a chance. "I'll cut ties with Alex and focus on fixing what's broken between us. I'll attend counseling, whatever it takes." I ran a hand through my hair, feeling overwhelmed by the weight of everything. "It's not just about cutting ties with him or going to therapy. It's about the fact that you chose to betray me in the first place. You made a conscious decision, and that hurts more than anything." "I know," she said, her voice trembling. "I can't change the past, but I want to change the future. I want to fight for us. Please give me a chance." I looked at her, taking in the desperation etched on her face. My heart was a battlefield of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, and an unwilling flicker of hope. I didn't want to admit it, but a part of me still longed for the life we had built together. "Right now, I need some time," I finally said, feeling the weight of the decision heavy on my shoulders. "I can't just jump back into things. I need to clear my head and figure out what I want." "Take all the time you need," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll be here when you're ready." That night, I slept on the couch. Every time I closed my eyes, I was haunted by images of Sarah and Alex together. I tossed and turned, unable to find any comfort in the familiar surroundings of our home. I felt like a stranger in my own life, lost in a sea of confusion and hurt. The following days were a blur. I went to work, but my mind was elsewhere. I found myself distracted, unable to focus. Conversations with coworkers felt hollow, and I dreaded returning to the house where laughter had once filled the air. It was as if the walls themselves were tainted by her betrayal. One evening, as I sat at my dining table, staring at the remnants of takeout I had ordered, I realized that I couldn't keep living like this. I needed clarity. I needed to know whether I wanted to fight for our marriage or walk away for good. I picked up my phone and called Ryan, desperate for someone to talk to. "Can we meet again?" I asked, my voice strained. "I need your advice." "Of course," he replied immediately. "I'm here for you, man. Just tell me when and where." As I hung up, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe talking to Ryan would help me sift through my emotions, help me figure out what I wanted. I knew whatever decision I made would change the trajectory of my life, but I had to choose wisely. I owed it to myself to find peace again, whether that meant saving my marriage or moving on. The storm was still raging inside me, but I was determined to find some semblance of calm among the chaos. Meeting Ryan again felt like a relief. We chose a small coffee shop just a few blocks from my place. As I walked in, the familiar smell of roasted coffee beans and baked goods enveloped me, offering a momentary distraction from the turmoil swirling in my mind. I spotted Ryan at a corner table nursing a cup of coffee, and he waved me over with a warm smile. "Hey man, you look like you've been through the ringer," he said as I sat down, concern etched on his face. "I feel like I have," I replied, running a hand over my face. "It's been a rough few days since I found out about Sarah. I still can't believe she cheated on me." Ryan nodded solemnly, his expression shifting to one of empathy. "Have you had a chance to think about your next steps?" I took a deep breath, my stomach churning at the thought of the conversation I needed to have with Sarah. I'm torn. Part of me wants to work things out because I still love her, but the other part of me screams that I should just walk away. How can I trust her again after everything? "Those feelings are completely normal. You're going through a grieving process, Jake," Ryan said, leaning forward. "You're not just mourning the betrayal, you're mourning the life you thought you had. It's okay to feel conflicted." I nodded, appreciating his insight. "It's just hard. I keep replaying everything in my mind, her laughter with him, the moments we shared, and now it all feels tainted. I can't get that image out of my head." "Have you talked to her more since the confrontation?" "Yeah, we had a conversation where she begged for a second chance. She mentioned counseling and promised to cut ties with Alex, but I'm still skeptical." I ran my fingers through my hair in frustration. Part of me wants to believe her, but can I really trust her to stick to those promises? "Trust is earned, not given," Ryan replied. "If you decide to take her back, it's going to take time. She has to prove to you that she's committed to rebuilding the trust that she shattered." "I know," I said, sighing deeply. "But what if I can't get past this? What if I'm forever haunted by it? What if I just can't forgive her?" "Only you can answer those questions," Ryan replied thoughtfully. "But you also need to think about what makes you happy. If you believe there's a chance you two can rebuild and be stronger, then it's worth exploring. But if your gut is telling you to walk away, you need to listen." The weight of his words sank in as I stared into my coffee cup. I needed to be honest with myself. What did I truly want? Did I want to try and rebuild, risking more pain in the future, or was it time to cut my losses and focus on moving forward? Honestly, I think I need to figure out how to let go of my feelings for her, I admitted, feeling the lump in my throat grow larger. I don't want to be the guy who constantly questions everything, feeling like a fool. I can't live like that. Sometimes the hardest decision is the right one, Ryan said, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. "Give yourself permission to feel all these emotions. It's part of the healing process, whether you choose to stay or leave." I sat in silence, lost in thought. I had always believed in the idea of unconditional love, but this betrayal felt like a knife through my heart. I had to be honest with myself about my limits. "Maybe I need to set boundaries," I said, my mind racing. "If I choose to confront her again, I need to be clear about what I expect moving forward. It's not just about her cutting Alex out, it's about rebuilding trust and being transparent with each other." Ryan nodded, encouragingly. "That sounds like a solid plan. It's your life, Jake. You deserve to be happy, whether that's together or apart." As I began to articulate my thoughts, I felt a flicker of determination inside me. I wasn't ready to make a decision right then, but I knew I had to approach Sarah with honesty and clarity. After our meeting, I returned home with a newfound sense of purpose. The evening was quiet, Sarah seated on the couch waiting for me. I felt a mix of apprehension and resolve as I sat down across from her. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice steady. "Of course," she replied, her tone tentative. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," I began, choosing my words carefully. "I need to set some clear boundaries if we're going to move forward. I can't just pretend everything will be okay after what happened." She nodded, her eyes wide with concern. "I understand." I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Jake. I'll respect your boundaries. First and foremost, I need you to cut all ties with Alex. No contact at all. I don't want any reminders of what happened, I stated firmly. Done, she replied without hesitation. Secondly, I think couples counseling could help us navigate this. I need to understand why this happened and how we can avoid it in the future. I want to talk through our issues and communicate better. I continued, feeling the weight of my decision settle around me. Yes, I agree. I'll find a therapist right away. I want to make this work, Sarah said. Her voice filled with urgency. I took a deep breath, feeling the tension ease just a little. And lastly, I need time. I can't promise I'll be able to forgive you right away. I need to process everything and figure out what I want. I understand, she said quietly, tears brimming in her eyes. I'll do everything I can to show you I'm committed to making this right. I love you, Jake. Hearing those words felt strange. They were heavy with both sincerity and doubt. I want to believe you, but it's going to take time, I replied. As I looked into her eyes, I realized that while the road ahead would be challenging, I was willing to navigate it. I owed it to myself to confront the pain head-on and make a decision that was right for me, whether that meant rebuilding our relationship or ultimately letting it go. The storm inside me would take time to calm, but I was ready to start charting the course. It was a leap into the unknown, but I was determined to find my way, one step at a time. The next few weeks unfolded like a roller coaster ride. Sarah and I began attending couples counseling, and while it was uncomfortable at first, we started to peel back the layers of our relationship. I learned that her infidelity had roots in deeper issues: stress, feeling disconnected, and a sense of unfulfillment in our day-to-day lives. In turn, I opened up about my feelings of neglect and how I had become complacent in our relationship, failing to communicate my needs as well. Each session was emotionally draining, but slowly I could see glimmers of hope. We were learning how to communicate honestly, and what had once felt like an insurmountable chasm between us was slowly beginning to narrow. But the trust, the foundation of our marriage, still felt fragile. Sarah kept her promise to cut off all ties with Alex. I never needed to hear direct confirmation that she had done so. I could see it in her actions. She was more attentive, more present, and even though I still felt a lingering doubt, I found myself beginning to forgive her. However, the process was not linear. There were nights when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, grappling with the thoughts that invaded my mind. The what-ifs, the images of her with him. I had moments of anger where I wanted to lash out or push her away. But with each counseling session, I learned to express those feelings instead of letting them simmer. One evening, as we sat on the couch together, I turned to her, feeling both scared and hopeful. There are days when I feel like I'm moving forward and others where I feel stuck, I confessed. I get that, she said, her eyes earnest. I know this isn't easy for you. I don't expect you to feel okay overnight. I just want you to know that I'm committed to making this work. I appreciated her honesty, but I had to be truthful too. Sometimes I still feel like I'm holding back because of what happened. I want to trust you again, but it's hard. I understand, Sarah replied softly, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I'm fighting for us. I'll do whatever it takes to help you heal. As the weeks stretched into months, I began to feel a shift. I found myself laughing again, sharing moments with Sarah that felt genuine. We went on dates, explored new hobbies together, and even revisited places that held special memories. Yet, the ghosts of our past lingered. There were days when doubts crept in, especially during arguments. Those moments would quickly remind us of the chasm we were still trying to bridge. But we learned how to navigate those moments, using the tools we gained in therapy to communicate rather than shut down. One Friday evening, as we prepared dinner together, I looked at her and felt a warmth swell in my chest. You know, I'm starting to believe we can get through this, I said, stirring the pot on the stove. Sarah turned to me, her eyes brightening. Really, that means so much to me. I've been hoping we could get back to a better place. I think we're on the right track, I replied, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. It's not perfect, but I'm willing to work on it. As spring bloomed around us, I realized that this journey of healing had changed me. I learned the importance of communication, vulnerability, and setting boundaries. I learned that love isn't just about the highs, it's also about navigating the lows together. Eventually, I made the decision to forgive Sarah fully. It wasn't just about her actions, it was about reclaiming my own peace and happiness. I refused to let her betrayal define my life. Months later, during our anniversary, I surprised her with a heartfelt letter. I had written about all the reasons I loved her, the journey we had taken, and how much I appreciated the work she had put into rebuilding our relationship. As she read it, tears streamed down her cheeks and I could see the weight of guilt lifting from her shoulders. "I never thought we could make it back to this point," she said, her voice shaky. "Thank you for giving us another chance." "Thank you for fighting for us," I replied, wrapping my arms around her. As we stood together, I knew we still had a long road ahead, but we were on it together. We were rebuilding our lives, brick by brick, and I was finally starting to feel whole again. In the end, I realized that love is not just about the absence of pain, but about navigating that pain together and emerging stronger on the other side. It's normal to have doubts, but what mattered most was how we chose to face those doubts together. This journey taught me valuable lessons about trust, vulnerability, and the strength of love, and I hope that anyone else going through a similar situation could find solace in knowing that healing is possible, even from the deepest wounds.